my name's Amanda and welcome to the 9th and final block tutorial in my mini block quilt along. So for our last block we will be making this very lovely Octagon Rosette. It is a super simple and very easy block to piece together. In the construction of this block we will be doing a little bit of hand sewing as well as some sewing on the machine, a little bit of basting as well as a lot of pressing with our iron. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of how we make this block, there are a few things I want to chat about. In the pattern sheet, which is linked below in the description, top line as always, I have included a 1-inch octagon template if you are unable to source pre-made 1-inch octagons. So you are more than welcome to use this template to trace out onto some card to then create your 1-inch octagons. So in this tutorial I am using a different technique to baste my octagons to the templates as well as onto the background 5.5-inch square. I am using a fabric glue stick just like this. This is by So Easy. This is a glue that dries clear. It's very easy to apply to fabric, and I've just decided to use this technique for this tutorial because one, it's something a little bit different which I haven't done before, and also it's very quick and easy to use. However, I do want to encourage you to baste and applique your octagons and rosette in the way that you feel comfortable with. You don't have to use fabric glue. You can do it the old school way and baste it with thread and then applique using a applique paper or heat and bond. Do whatever technique works for you and what you feel most comfortable doing. Also, when you get to the step of sewing your rosette onto your fabric, you can either do this by hand or you can do it on the machine just like I have. It is completely up to you. Again, do whatever you feel comfortable with and just finish the block off in any way that you choose. One last bit of advice I want to give you is if you're going to sew your rosette onto your fabric using the sewing machine, use a smaller stitch length. I used a 2.5-inch stitch length and it just didn't quite finish off the way that I wanted it to. I would recommend using a smaller stitch length because then you'll get a nicer, cleaner finish to your block. So as usual, you will find all of the measurement and cutting instructions for the block down in the description box below. As I've mentioned, the link to the pattern sheet is right up the top. It's the top line as always. And so with all of that said, let's get into how we make the Octagon Rosette block. To make this block, you will need to cut one 5.5-inch square from one fabric and then 8 2-inch squares from another. You will also need 8 1-inch pre-cut octagon templates or some lightweight card to trace onto, a hand sewing needle and matching thread, as well as a fabric glue stick. To begin, trace the 1-inch octagon template onto some lightweight card and then cut it out. You will need 8 octagons to make your rosette. Center a paper octagon on the wrong side of a 2-inch square. Apply a small amount of glue and press it down so that it stays in place. Carefully trim the fabric down, leaving a scant 1/4-inch seam allowance around the edges of the octagon template. Then do the same with the remaining 7 octagons. Next, firmly baste the 1/4-inch seam edges of each octagon down using the fabric glue stick. Once they've all been basted, give the octagons a good press with a steamy iron to flatten and crisp up the edges. Lay your fabric octagons out into the rosette design, lining up any patterns if you fussy cut your fabric just like I have. Starting with the top 2 octagons, flip one over onto the other. Then with a knotted needle and thread, pull the thread through the right corner of the top octagon. Make a small stitch at the right corner of the bottom octagon and pull the thread through. Continue to make small stitches along the top edge, ensuring not to sew through the paper templates. As you reach the end, make a loop and pull the needle and thread through, creating a knot. To bury this knot, slip the needle under the folded fabric, bringing the thread to the top, then snip off the tail of thread. Repeat this step with the rest of the octagons until all of them have been stitched together into a circle. Next, give the rosette a good press using some spray starch and a medium to hot steamy iron. Then gently and very carefully remove the paper templates from each octagon, smoothing back down the folded edges as you go. Once completed, give the rosette one more good press on either side. Quickly prepare your 5.5-inch square by folding it in half and then half again, creating equal folded guidelines. On the back of the rosette, apply a generous amount of fabric glue along all of the edges. Then center the rosette onto the 5.5-inch square, using the folded lines as a guide. Once happy with its position, press it into place, where it should adhere to the square. Then, at the sewing machine, carefully and slowly stitch around the outside and inside edges of the rosette to complete the block. So my friends, this is the very last block that we will be making in our mini block quilt along. The next tutorial in this series will be how we're stashing it all together and finishing off to make a lovely wall hanging. And I'm just so excited to get that done and then see everybody's beautiful finished creations, which is always the best bit about these series. I also want to encourage you to keep on sharing your finished blocks with me. I absolutely love seeing them. The best places to share them with me is on Instagram using the hashtag Amanda's Mini QAL and tagging me at 3 3/4. So I hope you enjoy making this block and also enjoy expanding on your English paper piecing skills. And as always friends, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you again another time very soon. Bye!